Yep. The what is UX? Okay, perfect. All right. All right. So, hello everyone, and welcome to your first day at Lambda School. So my name is Sebastian, and I will be your instructor for the first unit of this course. Just want to confirm before we start that everyone can hear me. Just a thumbs up. Awesome. Okay, great. Okay. So before we start, it's really important to take a moment to reflect and to think about where we are right now. So you should be really super proud of yourself because we're going to jump into a lot today. But before that, I just want to take a second to pause and think about where we are right now and what we're going to be doing. So from my perspective, most of you are here today because you're ready to change your life. You're ready to kind of jump into a whole new career, a whole new industry. Super exciting what's happening in tech these days and just in UX as a whole. There's a lot of opportunity. There's a lot of different industries you can work in. There's a lot of amazing and really sometimes complex and difficult problems to solve. So it's going to be really exciting, just kind of this whole transition that you're moving into as you pursue a new career with Lambda School. So just let that moment sink in for a bit because it's a really special occasion and it's a great start. So at some level, you probably recognize that a Lambda education will propel you towards a better future. And you took that initiative to apply, to make it through admission, to do all the work, and to show up on day one or even yesterday to take that first step. So congrats to everyone here. You've done a ton of work already, and you've demonstrated that you're willing to on yourself and that you're able to succeed. So we're going to do our best here, myself, the PMs, the section lead, and just everyone within the Lambda community. We're going to do our best to push you and help you and support you along the way. And we won't just throw you in the deep end and hope for the best. We truly believe that every single person that's in this course can kind of really progress through it and produce some outstanding work. So during the course, there might be moments where you feel overwhelmed or like maybe you feel like giving up. That happens. It's very natural, especially when transitioning into a new industry and starting something new. So know that that's completely normal. It could be excitement or like a nervous energy, but just remember how hard you work to that point. And whether it's week 2 or week 10 or week 30, just keep moving forward and kind of lean on the support that you have with your PMs, with your section lead, with myself, and with the greater team to support you through that process as you look to become UX designers. So before we start, a little bit about me. My name is Sebastian, and as I mentioned, I will be your instructor for the first unit of this course. I am a UX designer and an entrepreneur. I've worked at many different companies in different roles and in different industries. I've done a little bit of graphic design, UX design. I've done like strategy and like consulting for different startups. I've worked in kind of the education space. I've worked in program management. It's just a kind of a mix of things. Right now I'm primarily focused on the startup space because I find it particularly challenging and really enjoyable every time I'm working with a new startup or a new company that's trying to, kind of create their little mark in a new space. There's a lot of problems that are challenges that need to be solved. There's a lot of research that needs to be done, a lot of user testing, a lot of ideation, quick prototyping. It's very lean, it's very agile. So I really enjoy that process. But I wasn't always a UX designer per se with the term we have now, UX design. I actually went to college or university where I studied graphic design. At the time, I didn't like most of the things that you'll be learning in this course, I didn't learn because my degree was focused on more traditional print design. So I focused on packaging, branding, and creating pieces for print, marketing materials, but not so much mobile or web, or even how do you kind of be a UX designer? What are all the things you're going to be learning that you would do and like would be part of the process? I didn't really get to learn that at the time. So after graduation, I found myself at a fintech startup, which is financial technology within a large bank in Canada. And I worked on everything from customer experience to product to research to mobile design. It was very like hands-on, quick learning. So while I was there, I had to quickly come up to speed with all things digital. And that's how I learned a lot about UX design, as I was the only UX designer in-house. After some time with that company, I was like, banking's great. It's been fun, like learned a lot, but I really would like to kind of explore the other industries and see how designers kind of operate there. So I found myself at, actually left to open my own studio to start working in other industries and sectors outside of fintech, and just with different startups as well. So I've spent the last few years teaching design at different ages to different levels, post-secondary education, something similar to this, more as intensive course to children, even all elementary school. I also work as a design consultant, still working with startups and businesses to push out new products. And I recently also started a e-commerce company for a product, which is a whiteboard laptop case. And the whole goal around that product and that company was like, how do we help people that are creative or even entrepreneurs kind of visualize their ideas and do so just right in front of them on the computer they normally use. So that's a little bit about me actually, and kind of my background and my trajectory within the UX space. So I'm really excited to kind of be here and working with you. I think there's so much potential within the space. There's so much to be learned. I actually went to a conference today called Singular University conference, and it was held in part of Canada. I was kind of watching it online, and they were just talking about how they are working with robotics and AI and how designers are working around that. To the second topic was education and how education has kind of been a certain way for so long within elementary, and how like design and technology can kind of change that and provide more access to more people. So the third topic talk right after that was about food and how we can help farmers with like digital technology to be able to actually take photos of their crops and know whether something is bad or is like dying or is it like infected, to like actual farming, like plots of land. You're able to actually look at the plot of land and plan out how your machine would, how you would go and like plant your crops. So all kinds of like genetically modified foods, etc. So there's so much to do in the technology space. And I bring that up because within the technology space, if we're creating these products, if we're trying to, make strides in all these different fields, we need designers to sit there at the table and help solve those problems and help ideate and help to come up with solutions. So it's a really exciting time as well. Okay, so a little bit about Lambda and the Lambda community. I'm quite new to the community myself, so I'm so glad that today we have all the PMs and the SL, the section lead here as well, to answer more project or related questions, especially when it comes to like operations or in terms of like your Slack or when an assignment might be due, etc. They're really the go-to for this, as I'm also learning with you as well. So during your time at Lambda, you'll interact with instructors like myself and other instructors you'll have during the rest of the course. You'll have section leads, project managers, and of course, your fellow students. Don't forget, we can rely on each other, especially in this journey. So instructors are the folks or people like me teaching the courses. We're going to most of the time be experts in our fields with real world experience. We also love teaching and helping students. That's kind of why we're here, like you, to become hireable professionals. So the instructors for the course are, I believe, Christian, Nick, and myself, and there might be other instructors as well as the course progresses. Christian is also the UX program director at Lambda, and he's worked professionally many years in UX design as well. So then there's section leads and project managers. So PMs, the project managers, are like teacher's assistants or TAs from college. They'll help me teach the course, answer questions, and also organize all of your work. And a section lead helps coordinate all the PMs. So they work directly with the instructors or myself to coordinate the work of the PMs and the students. So remember that PMs are also students themselves. So they've been through the content already and have faced a lot of the same challenges as you. So they can really empathize with you and what you're going through, and just kind of this whole kind kind of trajectory that you're on. So there are really incredible resources that you can use when you have questions or even need help. Finally, as some of you have guessed, there are lots of other students here at Lambda from all walks of life. So getting to know your peers is a really great way to facilitate your learning, make new friends, and network. You never know where you're all going to be in 2, 3, 5, 10, 15 years from now, right? You could all be working in really different industries and sectors as designers, or maybe as something else. So really, this is a network, just meeting each other that you really want to tap into. So you're all in this together and working towards the same goal. So treat everyone respectfully and professionally. If someone is, struggling with something, think about how can you help them? How could you provide even a tidbit of information that could really help them along the way? In fact, be sure to treat everyone you meet at Lambda School in that manner, and remember that any form of harassment will not be tolerated. We're here to learn. We're here to support each other. Think of this as the practice for the workplace. If it wouldn't fly at work, then it won't fly here. And that's just a really good way to remember. Okay, so this, for our current units, this is your SL and your PMs. So for the first unit, your section lead will be Rachel, and your program managers will be Justin, Lennox, Denise, and Louis. And I believe you've all met already yesterday, so we won't break out yet to introduce yourselves, but just get to know your PMs, get to know your SL. Again, they have been students in the course, and they're going to understand what you're going through the most. Okay, so now we're going to look at the course structure. So Lambda School's UX design course is an incredible introduction to the world of user experience. It's designed to take anyone having no background knowledge and turn them into a hireable UX designer. But how do we do that? The course is broken down into 3 major sections. So as you can see on the screen over here, the UX core in red, the intro to web development in blue, and labs in black. So there's a good mix of content in terms of lectures, getting into web as well, and a bit of development, and then labs where you can actually go and apply what you're learning. So the UX course section is a multidisciplinary course that teaches you how to design interfaces with the latest graphic design software. We're always going to be giving you and asking you to use the tools that are industry leading. And in this course, we leverage psychology and design theory to create usable products and teach cutting-edge UX techniques for validating, testing, and designing digital products. So while you learn these UX fundamentals, you'll also be preparing yourself for a career in UX and gaining real-world practical experience as a UX designer. After the core, we'll take you into the intro to web development. So you can learn the basics of HTML and CSS. This won't turn you into a developer, but it will help you become more useful in the real world because you'll be able to more effectively collaborate with developers. You'll be able to understand kind of the way they're thinking when they're building products. You'll also understand what's important to kind of hand off to them when you're creating a design. Next, you'll move into labs, and this is where you'll work with other Lambda students to produce our real product from scratch. Super exciting. It's going to be a great time to take all of that core content that you've learned and actually put it to use. So this product will form the centerpiece of your portfolio, so be sure to make it count. After labs, you'll move back into UX core again to reflect on everything you accomplished in the labs, and then we'll push you to learn more advanced UX topics. Finally, you'll wrap up your time at Lambda with another lab cycle to immerse yourself into user research, testing, and design while mentoring the incoming Lab 1 UX students. So you get that opportunity to now not only take what you've learned and use it, utilize it again, but also mentor that next set of students that are coming in. And honestly speaking, there's no better way to learn than to teach sometimes, because you have to truly understand a concept before you can explain to someone else. And even if you do explain to someone else, they still might not get it because they have a different learning style, they have a different way of taking information. So it kind of forces you to understand multiple ways to share that information. So doing so will refine the practical skills that will help you stand out in the job market as well. So for each unit in the course, you're going to have a different instructor. So I'll be your first instructor for Unit 1. I'm really excited to working with you and getting to know you. But as the course progresses, we're going to rotate in terms of who is teaching the units. Do you have any questions about the course structure? If you do, just type those questions into Slack, and then we'll be able to respond to them. Okay, so how does your schedule work in practice? Well, we break each course into units, as you saw on the last screen, sprints, and modules. So as we discussed, a unit is a 5-week period that focuses on a broad topic. Because we're in the part-time course, not the full-time, I believe our units are going to be 10 weeks because it's going to be a lot less that we're getting through. So basically everything that was in the full-time course, when it comes to the part-time, it kind of gets diced. Not diced, it gets kind of expanded a bit further. So units are composed of 4 1-week sprints. That, again, for us, that might sometimes be more like a 2-week sprint that cover a specific range of topics, and a final sprint called a project week. And the project week is a practical assessment of everything you've learned up to that point. So we'll kind of go through all the content, and then we'll test you on it finally. So even though here you see it as a week, sometimes these are going to end up being 2 weeks. So sprints have 5 modules. The first 4 modules are dedicated to instruction time, while the final module is called a sprint project, and it's reserved for a larger practice assignment. Every day, we're going to spend the beginning section of our course learning about a particular topic, and then after that, we'll give you an assignment, a guided assignment that you can actually go, or a guided project as we call it, to go and work on what we've taught. So you'll notice that some days, I think for the part-time course, one day even though it's a guided project, that's going to be like a lecture, and then we'll have a project after that. And then the day after, you'll have time to work on your project. Then the day after that, we'll have again a lecture. And then the day following that lecture, you'll get to work on your project. So it's a bit divided a bit differently. So when we look at the calendar, it'll be a little bit more clear in terms of how we're doing that. So you'll have a bit more spaced out between each day. So does everyone have a link or has seen the Google Calendar okay, everyone's kind of seen that. So I will post, or someone, one of your PMs will post the link. If you don't, essentially when you click on that calendar link, you'll be able to see exactly what the schedule looks like. So in terms of the schedule as well, most of the days we're going to start from 6 to 6:30 with a design discussion, or it might be a peer review. I believe this Thursday it's going to be peer review of your work, so you'll be able to critique the work that you've done so far from the day before. And then from 6:30 to 8:30, we're going to have a lecture, kind of similar like this. So again, 2 days of the week we're going to have a lecture. The other 2 days of the week you're going to have time to work on your project. But on a day like today, we had a design discussion. Then we started the guided project, which is basically the lecture. And then after that, I'll give you time at the end around 8:30 to work on the project at the end of this lecture. So the way we're doing it today will happen twice a week. And then the other 2 days of the week, you'll have more project time to work. And then I believe there's a 5th day that you can choose. I believe it's Friday, Saturday, or Sunday. I might be wrong on the dates here, but your PMs can confirm, where you'll have additional time to work on your project as well. So on a day-to-day basis, the vast majority of our interactions are going to happen over Slack, happen over Zoom. I think you're all kind of familiar with this already. On Slack, we're going to coordinate our class, our field any questions, and share interesting articles or ideas that you have on the channel. It's also a great place to ask questions, to get in contact with your classmates, to just collaborate as well. And we'll have our lectures or our one-on-ones and any other video conversations on Zoom. So during the lectures, it might be hard sometimes if you're asking questions through the Zoom chat to see them or answer them right away. So what I would recommend is during the lectures, if you have a question while I'm speaking, just add it to the UXPT1 channel. I think you're all part of that channel. If you're not, we can add you on. So just add a question there. And then when you do it, you can, if you want, place a big, kind of like on the screen, a little red emoji. So if we're going through the channel, we'll automatically be able to flag that. Or I believe Rachel also may have a thread for questions. So we could use that as well. So that way the project managers can jump in, answer the questions for you right away while I'm talking. And if they can't for some reason, or it's something that want to escalate in to me or during this lecture, I'll be able to go through and actually pick them up as well. So in terms of Slack, just because we're all online, it's going to be sometimes hard to like remember everyone's face, remember everyone's name, like as we're all learning about each other and kind of getting familiar with everybody. Please have a photo of yourself, like clear-facing photo, so we can see who you are. A username that matches your name. So I know it's fun to create like fun and witty and smart usernames, but it would be really helpful if you just have your name there. Feel free to use emojis. And remember, don't put people down because we're all learning at our own pace. And feel free to help other people when you can. In terms of Zoom, same thing. Have a photo, use your real name. Keep your camera on as much as possible so we can see who's there. We can interact with you, see you. It's more realistic, feels more face-to-face. And make sure you're muted unless you want to speak, because sometimes like background noise can pick up and it could be kind of distracting, especially if like 20 of us all have our Zoom links off mute. And then question-wise, use Slack for questions. Okay, so now that we have a better handle on Zoom and how to use it, I want to take about 5 to 10, maybe we'll say 10 minutes, and have each person meet with your PM in a breakout room. So breakout rooms are something we can do through Zoom, creates like kind of like realistic rooms, but on a digital platform. So we want to get into the rooms, and then that way everyone will get to meet their PM and just kind of practice getting to these rooms. Also, your PMs will be able to introduce themselves to you and explain how they're going to help you through the week. And then after that, I would like everyone to answer some questions as well so we can get to know about each other a bit more. Oops. Sorry about that. So maybe before we actually get into the breakout rooms, if we can just go through one by one, I guess you could just unmute yourself and just say like, what's your name? Where do you live? Why do you want to learn about UX design? And what's your favorite animal? So we can just kind of go one by one. Let's see here. Maybe we could start with Catherine. Would you like to start?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
My name's Catherine. Ashley. I go by Ash. I live in Southern California right now. I'm from the Bay Area though. I just moved here. Why did I want to learn about UX design? Well, I have an art background. I was in school for animation and game art. I do a lot of illustrating, but I got pregnant with twins, and then I kind of just stopped everything, and I didn't know what I wanted to do. My husband's in the tech industry, in the IT field, so he was just like, since you like IT stuff and you like art, maybe you should check this school out. I just found it, and then that kind of led to like learning what UX really was. And then so yeah, I just decided to jump right in and go for it. But my favorite animal would probably be, I don't know, I like cats, so
Okay. Yeah. Nice, thank you. Thanks for sharing. That's exciting. So excited to have you in this course. I think having that animation background is going to be helpful maybe as well. We'll see. Okay, let's move to Andre. Andre, if you are there, feel free to unmute yourself.
He was having trouble with his microphone yesterday, so it may still be the same thing. We got it working, and then it might not be working.
Okay. All right. If Andre is still setting it up, let's go to Brian.
Hello, my name is Brian Nam. I live in Union City, California, which is like about 45 minutes outside of San Francisco. It's very hot here. I want to learn UX design because I feel like it's the best spot for me in Silicon Valley. I also have a background in arts. Majority of it is in film, though. I want to become a producer in the future. But for now, like I think UX design is kind of the spot where I think I can mostly be used. Bad UX really like makes me angry. So when I see bad UX and I have a solution for it, I feel like I should be doing it. You know what I mean?
Right.
My favorite animal is I like monkeys, like orangutans and stuff like that. I like apes a lot.
Nice. Thank you, Brian. Thanks for sharing.
Thank you.
Okay, let's go to, I think I see here Adulu. Sorry if I'm saying it wrong. Correct me.
You pronounce it right.
Oh, okay.
So my name is Adeolu Olawale. I live in Delaware. Why do I want to be US designer? I've always been passionate about creating, shaping people's experience with products. So I believe learning it is an opportunity for me to be able to create and design products that are meaningful and relevant to people. So that's why I'm learning US design. And my favorite animal, I think dog. I love dogs.
Nice. Thank you. Okay. Andre, I don't know if Andre has his mic set up yet. No? Okay. Andre, just kind of cut us off and let us know whenever you're on. Let's move to David.
Can you hear me?
Oh, are you there, Andre?
Yes. Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you. Go ahead.
Awesome. Let's see. There you go. Can you see me now?
Yes, we could see you.
All right. So yeah, my name is Andre. I go by Dre, and I live in Boise, Idaho. I recently moved here from California. I want to learn UX design because I was just scrolling on Instagram and I saw the ad for Lambda, and I was like digging deeper. And originally I wanted to do web development, but then like I realized that it's mostly like technical coding and programming. So I'm more of like a creative mind. So once I saw the UX design class, I was like, that seems like a perfect fit for me. And my favorite animal, I guess, would be a snow leopard.
Okay, thank you. Okay, let's go to David.
Hey everyone, my name is David. I'm in Baltimore at the present time. I just moved here from California. I used to live in Vacaville, which is like, I guess, 30 minutes from Sacramento. Why I want to do or learn UX design. My background started in fine arts and illustration, and I still do a bit of illustration today. And it's also good to see illustration kind of making its way back into a lot of applications. But the reason why I chose UX design as my current trajectory is because it really melds a lot of the things that I'm into. Outside doing design to pay bills, I did a lot of customer service work. And I find that I have a great interaction with people. And as I interact with people, I have a sense of what they need and what they wanted at the various stores I used to work at. And so combining that love of people and art and just the love of technology, I felt like this is a good field to go into, and would love to kind of like parlay that into using UX design as a way to do community building and to promote more inclusivity in tech.
Mm-hmm.
And my favorite animal is got to be a French bulldog.
Okay, thank you. Thanks, David. All right, next we have, let's talk with Jacob.
Hey guys, I'm Jacob. I live in Raleigh, North Carolina. And I guess, so I want to learn UX design because, so over the past year, I've been working with a firm that develops mobile apps and sort of like on the business development side of it. And I've kind of been watching like the designers do their thing, and I've kind of really been amazed by what they do. It's kind of like magic watching them kind of take like an idea and make it into like a fully formed application. And I guess I want to figure out how they do that. My favorite animal, we got asked what our spirit animal is yesterday. I would have to say it's the same thing. It's an otter for sure.
Okay, thank you. Thanks, Jacob. Next, Mark.
Hey, I'm Mark. Currently outside of Philly. I want to learn UX. I have a similar background where I have a undergraduate and a graduate degree in graphic design and design research, but they were kind of geared towards a different aspect of the design career that I'm hoping for. So I'm kind of just revamping my background and my skill set with this program. So that's my hope anyway. Favorite animal is a red panda.
A red panda. Okay.
Yeah.
I don't think I've seen one of those before. Thank you. Next, we have Robert. Robert, are you here?
Oh yes, Robert is. He doesn't have a camera or a mic. He said it'll be there in like about 2 days. He just ordered.
Okay.
He ordered it on Amazon. Yeah.
Oh, okay. No worries. Let's move to Ryan then.
Hey guys, name is Ryan Yen. I'm currently based in Dallas, Texas. I want to become a UX designer. Learning a little bit late into my college career about software engineering, realized that I actually cared more about the design aspect of why, in terms of the colors and how it looks and what goes into a product. So now I'm doing Lambda School for that. And then my favorite animal are penguins.
Penguins. Great. Thank you. Okay. T-Joy? Is that how you say it?
Yes. Hello. Oh, let me turn my. Hello. My name is Joy Stewart. I'm currently in Houston, Texas, by way of the Midwest. What did you learn about UX design? I actually started becoming interested in UX design about a year ago. I was teaching technology to middle, 6th, 7th, and 8th graders. And I hadn't been involved in technology in a while. I actually got my degree in technology, but I started working at nonprofits, doing event planning, development, fundraising. So I ended up going into teaching to teach technology. And then the kids, they just had so many different questions about things. They wanted to make games in Java and they wanted to know how to code. And I just started researching tech again, and I got excited about it. And I was like, hey, I used to want to be in the tech field and I didn't go into it. And I kind of felt like I cheated myself and I didn't really give myself a opportunity to actually have a career in the tech field. So I just started researching again to see kind of, after 10 years of being out of school, where do I fit at in tech and what do I like? And I came across UX design. One of the first things I read about it was you have to have empathy for the user, and it's something that kind of really grabbed my attention, and which caused me to want to research the career some more. And long story short, it kind of combines art and technology and people, which is all kind of my interest. So I really felt like it was a good career for me, and something that I would be able to excel in. And what is my favorite animal? I'm not too much of an animal person, and I've always liked the saber-toothed tiger. I know they're extinct, but I'm going to say the saber-toothed tiger. I thought their teeth were cool.
Great. Thank you so much. Okay, Trisha?
Hi, I'm Trisha Dislers. I live in Seattle, Washington. I wanted to learn more about UX design because it really combines a lot of the things that I'm interested in. I love art and I'm a big time people person. I'm a hypnotherapist and I'm working on doing some mental health all online rather than having a traditional practice. And that's what really got me thinking about how it would work and how I could create it. And I figured I would learn how to create this myself. And the more I learned about it, the more I kind of fell in love with everything that I was discovering. So I'm really excited to learn more. I've kind of floated around and tried a bunch of different things. So UX design seems like a really good combination of all the things that I'm really interested in. And my favorite animal is probably, I really love horses, so I'm gonna go with that.
Okay, thank you. I don't know if we, Ryan? I think Ryan.
Hey, I
Yeah,
already
there you
went.
are. Yes, you went. Okay, I'm trying to see who we missed. Did we miss anyone?
I didn't go yet.
Please go ahead then. Sorry,
It's kind
I'm
of mixed
trying to
up
go.
because there's two Jacobs, so I think that's how it.
Oh, okay.
You can call me Jake though. That's probably easier. I'll change my name on here somehow.
No worries.
So I got interested in UX. Well, first I live in Arizona. It's also hot here. It's like a desert, but it's nice. I got interested in UX because I used to make apps for iOS and Android, mostly games, just for fun. And I just love the experience of creating, I guess, an experience for people. I thought a long time about being like an event planner or even working for like Disney, you know, an Imagineer or something like that. And I just love the aspect of creating something and having someone experience that from what you created. So I guess you could say I love creativity. My favorite animal is actually the African elephant, which might sound crazy, but went on a safari and kind of fell in love. Those things are cool animals. So that's all.
Thank you. Thanks, Jacob. Or should we call you Jake?
Yeah, that's cool.
Okay. All right. Did I miss anyone else? I just don't want to miss anyone. If I missed you, please just let me know. Looks like we kind of went through the list. Okay. If I did for some reason and we're moving on, my deepest apologies. But I think we got to chat with everyone. Okay. Thanks so much for introducing yourselves. I think everyone's kind of on their own journey. It's really nice to see how a lot of you have like maybe tapped in technology, you know, like worked in technology, and you're just really interested into like, what is UX? Like, what do designers do? Like, how can I get involved? How can I learn more about it? So you're in the right place. And we're gonna talk about that a little bit today as well. So in terms of office hours for myself, you can sign up with me for like 15-minute sessions to get some like one-on-one feedback, advice, or just like overall direction for your coursework, your side projects, your UX career, etc. I'll actually drop a link in the channel maybe later this evening with like a Calendly, which is basically a website you can go to, and it shows a calendar with like available slots. So I'll share that link with you. So whenever you do want to have a 15-minute chat, we can do it on Zoom. You can just book it through there. So I will share that within our UX chat a little bit later. Okay, so we're going to talk about assignments now. So as mentioned earlier, you'll be working on an assignment every module, a sprint challenge every sprint, and a project week every unit. So this work is designed to assess your mastery of the course material and to push you further to master concepts. What's really important here is not just for you to kind of like, for us to just give you content and just that's it, like just go figure it out. Like we want to actually see that you're learning that content, you'll be able to apply it to your work, to your projects, and you're able to kind of like have that foundation before you move on. So it's going to be really important. So again, if you're struggling, if you need help, you know, reach out to the support that is there. Also try and figure it out too. Sometimes, you know, it's just like we just got to give it another try. So really push yourself to master the concepts, because it's going to be really important before moving on that you have clarity on what you're trying to do. So assignments should also be completed in a professional manner. Pretend like, you know, the people grading it, all of us, we're your future employer. So the same way you'd kind of like be working towards, you know, submitting something for your project at work, kind of treat it in the same light, in the same regard. All right, so we will provide detailed instructions for how we expect each assignment to be completed. There's also like a rubric as well in terms of how that's graded. But as a general rule, we expect every submitted assignment to be professionally written, designed, and presented. And maybe you're wondering why designed and presented? Because you are UX, you are studying, and you know you're basically going to be or in the process of becoming a UX designer. And one of the things when it comes to design is that we should be able to communicate, and that's just not like when we talk or when we build products, but also when we're like submitting assignments or like talking about our work as well. So it's going to be really important. A really easy, great app that I use when writing, it's called Grammarly, and there's actually like a Google extension for it. So you can just like download it as a Chrome extension, and it just automatically adds itself to like any kind of, if you're using Google Docs, it'll add itself to that, and it really helps as well with when writing. So not only is this good practice for the future, but it'll ensure that you continue to push yourself towards excellence in your work and in your assignments. We also have a writing guide. So because writing is so important to being a UX designer, this course is designed to incorporate a lot of writing as well. So to give you some guidance about your writing and the expectations we have when it comes to writing, we put together a writing guide to help you figure out how to write professionally in various contexts. So I could actually, we'll drop in the Slack a link to a Google Doc, and if you open that doc, you'll be able to actually see we have outlined steps for you on how you should write and what we're kind of looking for as well when it comes to writing. And since this course is, again, writing heavy, content heavy, we're going to be using Google Docs for the majority of our assignments, our challenges, and our projects. Hopefully everyone's kind of familiar with Google Docs. It's really easy to use, and it's easy to share as well, right? So you can send links of your work to other people. You can even collaborate with other people real time. I think everyone may have used it, but if you haven't, check it out, just play with it, around with it a little bit. Because we really recommend that you use that for this course. The next thing we're going to talk about is the training kit. So by now, maybe just give me a thumbs up if everyone kind of knows what the training kit is about. I believe you've kind of walked through it a little bit today. Awesome. Okay, so the training kit is essentially the source of truth for all the educational content at Lambda School. So every unit, module, sprint, all that content is there. There's also great resources and articles. I was actually looking at some of the articles today that we have posted there before this lecture. So there's a lot of good resources, a lot of times being put into kind of curating those articles and putting them out there. So make sure you take the time to read. That's a better way to kind of strengthen your understanding of the concepts that we're learning. And your assignments will be there. Even today, this video will also be recorded and put there as well, so you can refer back to it. And if you can't find a link to something discussed in the lecture, make sure you review the training kit before you ask a PM or instructor for help, because most of the information is going to be in the training kit. So let's talk about some expectations. Of course, we're excited, want to get into UX design, and this course is really great, but there's a lot that's that we're going to get through in the time that we have together. So Lambda School in general is no walk in the park. It's going to take work, it's going to take hard work, and the curriculum has been designed to be challenging because it's the best way to prepare you for the professional expectations of the real world. The whole goal of this program isn't just like, oh, we taught you we taught you all this information and this content, like that's it. We're really preparing you for industry, to be industry ready, to have the tools, to have the communication skills, to have the writing skills, to have the research, like everything you need, really, just so you're fully packaged and ready to go to start a career. So it is going to be intense at times, but just expect that that's kind of what we're preparing you for, to be ready for industry. So in the training kit, you'll also see the Lambda School Code of Conduct, and that outlines many guiding principles for success, kind of the Lambda way of doing things, pushing forward and really mastering the content here. But there are a few more that we like to cover in detail. We're just going to go over a couple of them. One is eye on the prize. So what does that mean? You're here to accomplish an amazing goal. So you got to keep your eye on the prize. You've taken the initiative to enter a entirely new field and pursue a brand new career in just a few months. So everyone here at the Lambda School is here to help you achieve that goal. Myself, the PMs, SL, and the student experience team, etc. So in the middle of the curriculum, when everything feels overwhelming, or when you're frustrated, when you're not sure how things are going to kind of happen, just pause. Take a deep breath and remember why you're here. Keep your eye on the prize, because it's going to be hard sometimes, but it'll take a tremendous effort on your part, but the end result will be so worth it. It really will, when you're, starting that brand new project in the field, or working with a team of designers, or like you created your first product that's being used by millions of people or thousands of people or hundreds of people. It's going to be a really proud moment, and all this kind of hard work is going to be worth it. Second, attendance and effort equals success. So Lambda School isn't magic, right? Just because you're here doesn't mean like that's it, all the work's done. Yes, you're here. Again, there's work that's going to be put in, but attending is super important. So being part of the classes, being here, being present, listening, interacting with your peers, doing the assignments. Essentially, if you don't put in the work, and if you don't reach out when you need help, and if you don't participate in class, the odds are that you're not going to succeed. And that's just the hard reality. So you do want to come to class, you want to put in the work, you want to ask for help, you want to participate. The biggest thing I would say is be humble, like have humility, because a lot of times, our own ego can get in the way. Like, oh, I don't want to ask about that. Like, it's just too basic. Like, I feel embarrassed, or, I should know this, or I don't want to make other people think that, I don't pick it up as quickly. Like, really put all those things aside, because we're here to learn. And even myself, every day I'm learning about UX, and I've been in this field and just in design for almost like 10 years now, but every single day I'm learning something new, especially because the tech space is constantly evolving. There's constantly new developments, new ways of doing things that are coming out. So we're all learning. We're all here to learn, lifelong learners. So if you're not sure, don't let your ego get in the way. Just kind of put that to the side and be like, how can I learn? How can I ask for help as well? Third one is learning to learn. So while we're here to teach you the technical skills on how to land that job, we're also going to teach you how to learn. That could be an art in itself. The most successful people are continuously learning. For example, when Inc. magazine writes about how Elon Musk reads for 10 hours a day, or how other famous people read 50 books a year, they're missing the point in a way, because yes, they're consuming a lot of content, but they're not just picking up random books to read. They're making a conscious effort to figure something out, to hear a new perspective, to learn a new topic. Maybe they're diving more into the industry that they're in. But again, it's just learning and just taking that information and within its context and applying it. Now, you don't have to read a gazillion books on top of your Lambda education to do this. That's not what I'm saying. Don't go to Amazon right now and download like every single book, audiobook, and every podcast and buy every book out there. No, but when you get stuck and you can't figure something out, try your best to get unstuck before you ask for help. A lot of times when we're stuck, whether it's a technical thing in Sketch or in Vision, or like a link's not working on Zoom, or your Google Docs you can't share, or someone's not receiving it, or just even something about your design process. A lot of times a quick Google search can help you figure that out, or referring to a lecture, or referring to some of the resources we have online. So try and figure it out. Give yourself some time to do that. Don't cheat yourself out of an incredible skill of learning and being able to kind of like figure out what to do by just rushing to get help from a PM or instructor. Instead, give it a good, we call it Lambda try. And if you're still stuck after 20 minutes or so, then ask for help. The next one is forget about failure. So we all do things at a different pace. We all learn at a different pace. Really important thing to take here, because some of us are better at certain things, like maybe certain parts of the course, you might realize, why is this person getting it so much faster than me? Or why are they able to produce this? Maybe they have a background, let's say in animation, or they have a background in design, right? Graphic design, or like they've worked in tech, or like maybe they're really good at writing because they have a background in writing. And they've just always written essays or books or whatever that is, right? So like, let's just not try and hold ourselves to the same standard as someone else. We love to compare our weaknesses to other strengths. Happens all the time. I do it all the time. So when you're in the middle of the curriculum, it's so easy to look at other students' work and feel like you're failing, but you're not failing. You're just learning. And sometimes that learning curve is going to be a little bit steeper or higher for you than someone else, depending on what is being taught in the course. So forget about failing and just try, give it a good try, and eventually you should be able to work through that hurdle. So while you're at Lambda School, forget about failing, and yeah, just give it a good try. and take those failures and turn them into learning opportunities. And finally, go beyond. So you can't make a diamond without a lot of pressure. We've heard that one before. The Lambda curriculum is challenging by design because we want to push you to excel. Again, we want you to be industry ready. Well, there will certainly be times where the curriculum is challenging enough on its own. Other times you might find yourself just whizzing through things. Again, this could be related because you've done something similar before, you're familiar with the space, your background, if you're a subject matter expert on something, all of these can contribute to that. So you're going to have those kind of harder days and those more smooth ones. In both of those moments, though, push yourself to go beyond. So just because something's easy doesn't mean like, oh, this is so easy, this project's so simple, I'm just going to like work on it for an hour or just do it right before it's due. Actually push yourself to go beyond. It's not sometimes about what we expect from a course perspective, but ask yourself, like, if it's quite simple, how can I push myself or challenge myself to go a little bit further, to dig deeper? Maybe if there's like one screen you need to do, how can I do maybe that extra one just to really push myself? So you'll be really amazed at how far you can go and be in a much better position when you graduate. Generally speaking, if you follow these principles, you won't just be able to graduate Lambda, but you'll have a foundation for basically setting yourself up for a lifetime of success, just with learning in general and just your attitude towards working with people, learning new concepts as well. If you have any questions about this, please drop that in the chat as well. So now we're going to get into what is UX. Before I start and give you our definition of UX, I want to see what you think UX means. So can anyone volunteer and offer a definition of UX? Remember, forget about failure. We just talked about it. We're just here to learn together. So just love to hear your thoughts. Feel free to unmute yourself and offer maybe your possible definition or what you've heard so far or what you know about it.
My understanding of UX has always been designing the complete experience of a product or a service for the user.
Okay, great, thank you. Anyone else want to chime in?
I was going to add one thing. I think that's exactly what I was going to say. I think that's exactly right. But I also think I learned something today in our PM meeting that it's not just the experience with the user, but it's also taking the goals of the stakeholders and melding those with the goals of the user, and then explaining and interpreting that to everyone involved. So you're kind of like the liaison between the user and the stakeholders or the company.
Yeah, totally. Thank you. Anyone else want to chime in? This is a safe space, everyone.
Yeah, I think based on what I've read so far, again, as regards to user experience, I think user experience is all about just designing all aspects. Is like it all involves all aspects of a user's interaction with a product, shaping their experiences to based on the needs of a user.
Okay, these are all great answers. Anyone else?
Oh, sorry, Ryan.
No,
you can go ahead.
Oh no, I'm just confused because something happened with my computer and I have no idea. I've never used. Oh, okay. You guys disappeared. Okay. Anyway, I'll figure that out later. I think that UX is just kind of the bridge between technology and people. That's just pretty much it. That's all I wanted to say. Basically, it's just how we can make the tools so people can actually use the technology that like the programmers and all the developers actually create.
Okay. One more person?
And I was just going to say, and also really, to me, what I like about it or what I understand is that when you're a UX designer, you're really advocating for the user, giving that person an identity and being focused on who that user is, because at the end of the day, that's who it's for. And I think that maybe being involved in the tech industry, maybe you can kind of forget that or think about it in a way by the things that you've learned. But as a UX designer, your job is to stay focused and keep everyone focused on who this product is really for, because it's an actual human being.
Yes, thank you. So advocating for the user, really important. Anyone else? We'll probably see if one other person.
I had something.
Yeah.
I think that like when you, well, I don't know. I think as UX designers, you really have to have like empathy, yes, for the users, and bring that into designing, but also when you're designing something that you're realizing this could make a difference in someone's life and it could save people's lives, you could be making differences in the world. And I think honestly that's really kind of makes me think about it a little bit more differently. How can I make this better for that purpose or whatever, depending on whatever the product is. Or if you're working for like something in the medical field, you know, you could be helping that or whatever, you know, like, so I don't know, I kind of started thinking about it a little differently that way too. So
yeah. Thank you. Oh, that's great. I think everyone, honestly, you should all teach this course. No, these are really great answers. I think everyone kind of covered it and tackled it from a different angle, and these are all part of UX, really. So I'm going to just chime in as well here. So if you look around yourself right now, chances you'll see a computer or mobile device. Maybe there's a pencil, some paper nearby, or you could be in a coffee shop or even sitting at your desk at home. Regardless of where you are or just what you're seeing, everything around you has been designed, right? Like the table, the chair, the computer, the mouse, my iPhone, all this has been designed by someone at some point in time, whether it was intentional, whether they said, you know, UX designers or design teams doing it, but someone had to think through that process, right? The conceptualization of it, thinking about who would use it, why they would use it, what was the best way to create that for them, for that use case, etc. So the way we sleep, the way we eat, the way we think, the way we communicate, all of this has somewhat been designed in a way. In fact, probably everything you've ever used and every experience you ever have had has been designed in some way. And when we think about product design and more like designing as digital designers too, like we think always like it's an iPad or it's an app or it's a website, right? But certain things like the way you experience, you go to the grocery store and you walk through the aisles and you go to the checkout. And the reason why the magazines are there, because they know you're stuck and that you can't do anything for a good 5-10 minutes, to where they put all the candy bars there and just everything, you know, to why the milk section's all the way at the back of the store, and why every single placement, a lot of that we think it's just like, oh, they just, you know, just decided to put it there just randomly. But a lot of it has been designed with intentionality. And I can't remember this story completely correctly, but I think what they realized is some stores, why the milk's always at the very, very back of the store, because a lot of times people just go to quickly get a bag of milk or you just pick up something, but you have to go all the way through. So you're like, I'm just going to go get a bag of milk. But what happens when you get to checkout? You have a bag of milk and a bunch of things you just found along the way, right? So everything is kind of designed. Can that be positive? Because we're thinking with the user. If we really want to help the user, let's say we know a lot of people are coming to get milk, put that right in the front of the store so you can easily access it, right? So it can also be used for marketing reasons. We could even get into something called dark patterns on the web, where you basically create design that isn't really made in the best interest of the user. Sometimes it's the best interest of the company. And we'll talk about that, I think, a little bit later when we get more into in depth to the course. But essentially, my point I'm trying to make here is everything has kind of been designed, including experiences as well. So as a user experience designer or UX designer, you'll hear the term a lot, UX, we're in the business of designing almost everything. We try to understand why people behave the way we do. We try and understand what motivates them. And we think about how do we change their behaviors, right? It's really quite a task to change people's behaviors, change habits that they've even created. And how do we provide an experience that delights and engages them? So just those 4 things I mentioned alone, that's quite an undertaking, right? We're almost like have to learn about a little bit of psychology. We have to learn a bit about like human factors and like ergonomics if we're building specific products. We have to think about, you know, like what's the way people currently do certain things today. We might have to look back in history to even look at research, like why do we do something? Why as a society we undertake a certain practice, etc. So really diving into the details there. So we can apply UX, user experience design, to any field, any discipline, or any human endeavor to design a better experience and outcomes. While we can apply UX design processes to anything, since we're all trying to pursue careers as UX designers, we're going to focus our UX efforts on creating products and services for businesses, nonprofits, or other economic entities. And mainly for this course as well, we're going to focus on building digital products. In this context, the Nelson Norman Group, which is a very well-known worldwide design consulting agency, they explain that user experience encompasses all aspects of an end user's interaction with a company, its services, and its products. And that's kind of their definition for it. So frequently we'll see UX used interchangeably with terms like user interface or usability, or sometimes you'll hear product design. While these are important aspects of UX design, user interface, usability, they are subsets of it. Instead, UX is the entire experience end-to-end of a product, right? So you're factoring in the people, the processes that all kind of encompass that space. And from the Nelson Norman Group, Don Norman, which is one of the founders, he's actually, we kind of say he's the inventor of the term user experience, clarified in his point when he said, no product is an island. A product is more than the product. It is a cohesive, integrated set of experiences. So when you think through all the stages of a product or service, from initial intentions through final reflections, from the first usage to them touching your product, to help, to the service, to the maintenance of that product, they all should work together seamlessly. So even for example, if I'm trying to book a, let's say, I don't know, a railway ticket to go to, let's say, Europe, through Rail Europe, I might go online, I might go through a third-party site. Once I actually purchase it and I'm in Europe, I might go into an office to pick up my ticket. I'll go to the train station, like all of these different touch points that the user is going through. But for the user, that's just one experience. You might see it as a company as like, oh, there's a channel, like they're using the web and they're using the app and they're using, the actual store or the train station, kiosk, etc. But to the user, that's all one experience. So as UX designers, we're thinking about how can we look at that whole experience, all those channels and touch points, and make sure they all work together seamlessly. But while we're doing that, we don't just think about it from a product functionality aspect, we also think about it from the user's perspective. And I think, so that was just mentioned, like what are they trying to do? How can we have their best interests at heart? How can we basically understand their motivators, their behaviors, their pain points when trying to accomplish a task, and truly be that advocate throughout the entire process for them? So by focusing on the entire product experience, or the entire experience, UX designers deliver value to an organization because we can identify areas where the experience is below the user expectations. And then we can seek to remedy the situation by designing experience through research, ideation, prototyping, which is making a simple version of a product that can be tested, and other techniques. In other words, we're essentially, think of us as like detectives trying to uncover our product's who, what, and why. Who are the product's users? What should we build for them? Or should we not build something for them because it's not necessary, or there's a better way to do it? And why do they want it? So answering these questions, and then we translate those answers into actionable designs that our teams can actually go and build. And that's essentially at the core of what we do. And again, this is just very general. Once you actually start working on projects, every project will be different. The way we kind of tackle it, the way we work through it. But as a whole, this is the gist of it. So this is a good starting point and a frame of reference for appreciating the value of UX design. We look at this picture. What do we see here? I don't know if anyone's seen this before, but we essentially see two paths, right? Walking through this park. One path is paved very well. It's almost looked like it was part of the design. You know, the urban planners and the people preparing the park and planning the design for it are probably like, okay, we're going to put a path through this way. But what we see on the right is just an organically made path by people that just started crossing through because that was just the shorter way to get around. If I'm trying to walk from our vantage point right now all the way to the other side, we don't want to go all around. We just want to cut through. It just makes sense. It's just faster, right? So when creating a walkway in this park, designers fail to consider, possibly, users' behaviors, their needs, and their goals. And why do I say that? Because if we study their behavior and we told two people to walk from this end to that end, we probably realize the path that they take. If we think about their needs like, I want to get through the park probably faster because I need to get to the other side, or their goals as well, we probably would have noticed this earlier. So a more traditional understanding of design would predetermine how users will use something and just hope for the best. Like, you know what, I think this is a good idea. I like it. You like it? Great. Let's build it, and just the users will have to use it because they have no other choice. We made it, we designed it. But a more responsible or user-informed design, or I would even say UX design or human-centered design, instead of just designing something and being like, so be it, cross our fingers, let the user use it, we actually allow actual usage to inform how the product should be designed. So here we don't necessarily have a product, but even when designing this park, this walkway, we would probably test first to see, is this the best way to go about before we create the pathway? So if people don't understand how or need to use it, why should we build it? UX and strategy a lot of times helps us validate what we're making. A strong experience means that we're 2 steps ahead of what our user is expecting. So the design and the experience should go above what they need and what they think they want. And that's how we can really say, like, this is good UX design because it's really well thought out. It's been tested, it's been validated, and it's truly providing value to our user. So why does this matter? Why does UX matter? I think we can all kind of maybe align on this question. Well, has anyone ever been frustrated by a product before? I think someone mentioned it earlier. Okay, we got one hand. Couple hands. Yes, I think we all have. So maybe it didn't work out the way you expected, or it was too confusing to figure out to do something. Or maybe like no one thought about it, and you had to go through like 5 or 6 channels to get a question answered or get something, the simplest task done. So it's the most frustrating experience in the world, and it could even drive you crazy. It has for me sometimes. Some examples of this is a door that says says push when you thought it was pull, right? Just a simple everyday world example. Or a time you couldn't find something on a website just because someone that designed the architecture of the site hid this really, really important piece that you needed all the way under many levels of the site architecture. So a lot of instances. But on the other side, on the flip side, maybe you have used a product which you absolutely loved, where you're just like, wow, that was an amazing experience. That was just phenomenal. Like, it was just so easy to do. Maybe it took care of everything you needed, or it was so good that you hardly noticed you were even using it. And sometimes I've heard it said a couple times that really good UX design just happens in the background. It's done so well that you don't even realize that it's been done. It's just a flawless and seamless experience for the user. So ultimately, every product has some form of user experience. The difference between an experience that drives you crazy and one that you absolutely love is what separates successful products from failures. And again, that's not taking into consideration actually the business side of the product and getting product validation and market for your idea and, having the money to kind of like continue building it out and all that. That's another subset or another part of it. But talking just right now for more of the design or the UX side of things. So this puzzle is what UX designers spend time figuring it out. As you can imagine, having UX that your customers love is an enormous competitive advantage. And why do I say that? Because if a customer has a good experience with your product, more than likely, they are not just going to stay really quiet about it. They're going to tell other people. They're going to become an advocate for your product. So essentially free marketing, right? And there's nothing more stronger sometimes in marketing than word of mouth and having really strong product recommendations. So that's going to be a really big competitive advantage for any company that you're working with. So I'll give you an example as well. Recently, about a year or so ago, I was on a website just because I found out that this insurance company rebranded. I was like, oh, interesting. Like, I'm just going to go on the site and just check out their website and see how they did. And I went on the website and it was so well designed. The experience was so great to the point where I was just kind of going through the flow, like just testing it out. Because sometimes I do this in my spare time. I test products just to kind of see how they designed it and how they kind of put it together. So I was going through the flow. It was for home insurance. So I was going through it for home insurance and I was like, kind of actually entering all the correct information, going through it. And it was so seamless. By the end, I actually signed up for insurance with them because it was so easy. They're like, you don't have to, like, they will do all the documentation to notify my other insurance provider to switch it over. The billing, it easily connected me to like my bank account. So I was able to quickly bill. Just everything was so seamless. It was so well done. They thought through all the pain points or even drop off, which can happen in a product sometimes where it just gets too complicated for maybe a user to use, or they just don't have the time. So they just leave and they don't continue the process. And it was just so great in comparison to an experience I had with another insurance company where if you wanted to do anything remotely close to this, you couldn't do it online. You had to call in. You had to get like download paperwork, fill it out, probably fax it over. Like who has a fax these days, right? I faxed it over, then like call back a couple days, get confirmation, give them this reference code they gave you. Just this really, really long, elaborate process. Quite painful, I might say. So in comparison, as a user, if I could pick between those two experiences, I'm going to choose the first company because it was just done so well and they really advocated for the user as well. Okay, I think I'm going to jump into Slack to see if there's any questions before we get into the assignment. One moment. Okay, looks like not so. So before we get into the assignment, we have a little bit of time here. Anyone have any questions in regards to that? Again, today was just a very high level overview into UX design, why it's important, what we're gonna kind of learn throughout the process, but I'm happy to answer any other questions you might have before we get into the assignment details. Feel free to just unmute yourself and just ask.
Sorry, did you put that Calendly link, where you can sign up for to like chat?
Not yet. I'll probably have it in. I'll be able to post it up. I'll put it in the Slack.
I have a question. So I'm kind of looking at the calendar right now. I've just kind of merged it with my Google Calendar. It says that it looks like it's once a month. It's Lambda Meetup Day. What is Lambda Meetup Day?
Can everyone hear me? Everyone good? Okay, awesome. Sorry about that. Okay, so do you have a question, Brian? You're unmuted.
Yeah. What is Lambda Meetup Day? It's like something that it's on the Google Calendar and it's like highlighted in a different like way than everything else.
Lambda Meetup Day. I'm going to pass that off to Rachel. Rachel, could you help me with this question?
Yeah, so if you are added to your nearby channels, so let's say if you live in Los Angeles, you can add the Los Angeles channel, and then on there, the person organizing that channel will post meetups that typically happen during the first Friday of the month. So it's really for your own use if you want to meet up with fellow Lambda students, but it's not a part of the UX course, if that's what you're asking.
For sure. That looks like Justin Stevens just messaged me. I'll talk to him. Thank you.
Okay, no problem.
Bay Area represent.
Okay, so I'm going to show you the assignment for today. Again, if you have more questions, drop them in the Slack. Before that, though, just give me 1 second here. So I think you can all see my screen. So just so everyone knows, this is a calendar. You're going to have access to it. I think most of you have seen it already. So just you could add that to your, even reference it from Google or even add it to like your iCalendar, etc. This is what the writing guide looks like that I mentioned earlier. So it's a Google link as well. And there's guidelines for how to write and some tools as well. Grammarly is one of them, and Hemingway Editor. And I think you're all familiar as well with the portal where you can see all the information along with the sprints, etc. Today we're starting off with the UI, the UX section. So today, in terms of our assignment, I'll pull that up. Just give me 1 moment here. So you're going to be writing a blog post for your assignment. I believe the link is on the portal. If you need help finding that, we can direct you as well through the chat. So you're going to be working on your blog post. We're going to kind of, in about 10 minutes or so, break so you can go ahead and do that. And then in the meantime, do you have any other questions for me before we break into our assignment?
Are you going to teach us how to make a blog post? Like, is that all going to be gone over?
Give me 1 second. Yes, I believe we were going to go over that. I'm just trying to see if I could open this file 1 second.
Is the blog post on Medium?
So, Rachel, I think I'm just going to get your help here for a moment. For some reason, I can't open the blog post on the site. I was wondering if you don't mind, if you would mind sharing it with us.
Yeah, let me load it. Okay.
Thank you, everyone, for your patience getting acquainted with this system.
So it should be included in the training kit where it says project or intro to UX module. So does everyone have, so if you have your training kit open, if you scroll down to the project section where it says what excites you about Lambda and UX, that's going to be your assignment for tonight and tomorrow.
Okay, I have it open here too. Great. Okay, I'll just quickly review it with everyone. So it says, what excites you about Lambda and UX? First, write a blog post in a Google Doc. So just, you can create your own Google Doc here that explains why you're excited and nervous about Lambda and why you're interested in pursuing a career in UX. So kind of what you talked about today on our call, but just kind of more formalized in this document. And then while you do it, be sure to follow the writing guide that I just showed you on the Google Doc. And then once you're done, share the link to your Google Doc with your PM once you're done so they can review it with you. And then once you're done that, writing that little blurb, you want to find an article or video describing UX and share a link to it in the Slack channel. Okay, so start a thread on that post and add a comment that summarizes the video that you watch. So just find one and like share it, like add some of your thoughts to it as well so you can hear what you think and what you've kind of gleaned from it. And do that in 280 characters or less. So it's not like a long essay, it's just a short little blurb about your take on that video. and then the article and how it compares to what you learned about UX in class. Maybe the person, like whatever video you found kind of has a different perspective. So I'd love to hear how that kind of compares to what you've learned so far in class. So it says that they're under project. In terms of how to write a blog post, Medium is a really great resource in terms of how someone can kind of structure it, but we're not going to get that detailed. It's more so like a shorter summary just in your Google Doc. So just have your name, have the date, maybe a title, a bit, kind of maybe write the question on top, right? Like you might say, like why I'm interested in career in UX, and then maybe a little paragraph about it, and then the video, and then a bit of a comment as well within Slack. Okay, is there any questions on that? No, pretty straightforward. Okay, so really,
one quick question. Sorry to interrupt you. I just want to make sure that I'm understanding like what time we're going to be submitting this. Are we submitting it all at the same time, and is that going to be tomorrow evening? Like as far as the blog post and the video.
I'm going to pass that to Rachel.
Yeah, so tomorrow it should be submitted by before your stand-up. So that is by 8:30.
Thank you.
Yeah, no problem.
And really excited to see the videos that you all post as well, and your take on what they're saying and how it applies to what we learned today. So there's going to be a lot of good resources out there. So just post that to the Slack, and I'll be able to go through it as well. Okay, this is really great. It was really great to meet all of you as well. I think we're going to have a really great unit together. There's lots to be learned in UX. So in the meantime, please go through the articles. There's a lot of good articles on there just talking about what's the difference between UX, like in UI, and like why is it important, etc. Go through those. Look at some resources online as well in terms of like a video that you can share with Slack. And then I'll post the Calendly link as well, so you can message me and we can have one-on-one chats if you want to talk about some additional things as well. And then other than that, we will see you online. Okay, sounds good. All right, thank you everyone, and looking forward to your submissions. Bye.